Welcome to the Fight Club, place we fight for our lives, help others fight for theirs. So I've been making it my business to start or to go on live and just more. I made a commitment last year. I said, you know what, I'm gonna do 365 days of content. And so if anybody who's been checking in with me, following with me, I've been doing a proverb a day since, I guess, I don't know, December, maybe November, whenever. But anyway, I've been making it my mission to hop on live, whether it be Instagram or TikTok. I just got to do it. So I'm doing it. And this week we started the Fight Club Community Connect, and I decided, let me just give a sneak peek into what all is going to go into this, this Connect session, right? And so we're going to virtually meet up every Monday night at 8:30 Central Time and every Friday morning at 6 a.m. Central Time for prayer. So Monday night is to build, Friday morning is to pray. You need both of these aspects of your life. We got to build, but we got to pray. We got to cover it in prayer. Everything we do, covered in prayer. Why? Because prayer is about alignment and assignment. Let me say it again. Prayer is about alignment and assignment. We align to the will of God through the discipline of prayer. It's not just about requests, not just about asking God for a whole bunch of stuff. It's about surrendering our will and aligning to Him within that process. And then what happens is He gives us clues. He gives us strategy. He gives us resource. He gives us grace. He gives us understanding. He begins to order our steps in certain ways. We begin to find out purpose of life through this process. And so alignment and assignment, it's a beautiful thing. So with that being said, I said, you know what? I'm going to jump on here and give a sneak peek into what the Fight Club Community Connect actually looks like. And today, this Monday, we talked about why fight? What is the whole purpose of fighting? Why do we fight for things in life? Do we even understand that we're in a fight? And what is the Fight Club about, right? So back in 2017, I was facing 99 years in prison for selling drugs. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not proud of it. I'm not ashamed of it either. This was just a part of my journey. At the time, I was a chameleon. So I was wearing all type of hats. I was wearing a hat of a dad, right? Dad hat, student hat, worker hat, boyfriend hat. Come on. But I was selling drugs too. I was wearing all these hats because I was chameleon. I was more faithful to the opportunity, more faithful to opportunities, or more loyal to opportunities than I was of my identity. And see, when you don't really know who you are, what happens is you end up conforming to whatever opportunity you think will give you the best advantages. Oh, let me say it again. When you don't know who you are, when your identity is not established, then you end up conforming to whatever opportunities seem like they'll give the best advantages. Yeah, so that was me. I don't know if anybody else is a chameleon out there, and every time an opportunity presents itself, you go to changing to try to conform. And so that was me, and I was wearing all these different hats, and it seemed like in this period in time of my life, every particular hat I was wearing was colliding. All of them all at once was imploding on each other. When you're a chameleon, you end up living compartmentalized lives where you're this version of this person, this version of this person, this version of this person, this version of this person. They only know so much about you, and you only spoon feed people so much. That is a tiring way to live. That is an exhausting life. And I don't recommend it to anyone. Here's the truth of the matter. The Fight Club helps you heal, grow, overcome, and then learn how to tell your story with confidence. And when you're in survival mode, surviving from the traumas of your past, what begins to happen is every opportunity in life looks like an opportunity to get out of something you were into. It's like living with a deficit. So living with a deficit is like something's missing, something's lacking, something's broken, and you're always trying to fix what's broken. You're always trying to locate what's missing, always trying to find what's lacking. And so the lens of the way you see life is through deficits. And so the things that look like they're the most promising are the things that you will gravitate towards. But here's the reality. You can't build in survival mode. You can't build something sustainable while you're always moving or gravitating towards what quote unquote opportunity presents itself. In one of my first books, Honestly, Keys to Building Lasting Relationships, I talk about it, that we have this me syndrome. And so in our survival, we're looking at whatever can be beneficial to me. Doesn't matter if it's people, places, things, environments. And so we use our loyalties and our loves as a manipulation tool to get what we feel like we need. That's not real love. Anyway, so why the Fight Club? At this particular time of my life, I ended up catching this case, selling drugs, and I was facing 99 years. And I remember telling God, like, look, I'll go back to prison. I had already been once when I was 21, and I did a 5-year stint. And the goal was, once I got out, to be better, to do more, right? To do better. I got saved while I was incarcerated. I got out of this situation and ended up getting married, had kids, working, going to school, doing all these different things. But eventually, life just started spiraling. Eventually, I ended up backsliding. And eventually, it was like, here I am trying to fix all these things that I thought was broken. Here I am trying to find all these things that I think is missing. Here I am trying to locate what's lacking. And started selling drugs. On the outside, the exterior of my life, I'm trying to keep up all my fronts, right? You would never know it if you saw me at my kids' baseball or football game. You never know it if you saw me, say, outside of those elements. But deep down inside, I had all these different compartments I was trying to live out of, and none of them were working. So, facing all this time, and I'm like, all right, God, I'll go back to prison if I have to. But I don't want to go. And I started praying, and he started giving me some wisdom about what to do while I'm in court. So I did what he showed me to do. And eventually, last time I showed up in front of court, the judge looked at the day and said, give that man whatever he wants. And I left that day. But I made a commitment that if God would bless me in this opportunity to spare my life, then what I would do is honor him for the rest of my life. Well, how can I incriminate myself? Yes. What? I've already did what I did. It's over with. Come on. Why you? Anyway, so I keep pressing, and I decide that I want to be the type of person who actually helps, right? I'm fighting in this sense for my life. The only condition for coming out of this court proceeding situation was I had to go back to drug court, a program that I already previously graduated. Well, when I graduated the first time, I was finessing my whole way through. I was selling Roxy's and weed in class. I was paying people to piss for me. Bringing my diabetic teacher donuts. I was doing all these different things. And I learned, because I caught this case probably a month after I finished, that what you don't defeat, you will repeat. What you don't learn in one season will show back up in another season. So I realized that, okay, I got to go back through these processes. And it's not going to be fun, and I don't like it. But sometimes you just got to eat the crow. Meaning sometimes you just got to bear it under the circumstances in which you're in without complaining, especially if you put yourself there, right? So I ended up finishing drug court, got through with it, got complete, graduated. And at the same time, I ended up getting a mentor, and we would begin to talk about things that I really never talked about before. And I was perpetually unpacking things that had been lodged in my spirit since I was a child. And those things that were holding up the progression of my life. The truth of the matter about traumas is that you just don't go through traumatic events to just go marry on with your life. Things that happen to you, they are within you. And the things that are within you attract. I say it like this: trauma-free is drama-free, right? As you deal with the traumas, the drama begins to be lessened in your life to the point where you have none anymore. But the drama is attracted to trauma. And if you don't process it, then it'll always gravitate towards it. Hope that's making sense. So around this time, after I finished up with drug court, after I got that behind me, after sessions with my mentor, things began to get clear about what I wanted to do with my life. And starting a coaching program was my focus. And so by the time 2020 came around, I was like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And so I started this strictly volunteering, working with people in mental health and in substance abuse or recovery. And whenever you start a thing, the seed ends up growing into something that you probably wouldn't even consider to be possible. The Bible says that a seed does not know what his body looks like. What am I saying? Things that start off small eventually grow into things. And when they grow into something else, it begins to change the dynamic of you. You grow from the inside out, and then things in your environment begin to change. You begin to be congruent with things along your purpose and incongruent with things from your past. And so you can't really escape your life. You can only grow your way out of your old life. Grow your way out of. And so why fight? I said all that to get to here. Why fight? What is the whole purpose of fighting? Well, I know this one thing, that everything worth having in life is worth fighting for. Everything good in life worth having is worth fighting for. And this whole community is set up. Its entire focus is to help people heal. Heal what? Heal from traumas of the past. When you begin to heal, your perspective of life changes. Life is not all about healing, though. Sometimes we reduce life to just about healing, and so everything in life is back to deficit. So now I'm always looking for what's missing, trying to figure that piece out. I'm always looking for what's lacking, or I'm looking to answer questions that weren't answered, and all this type of stuff. My entire existence is about healing, but that's not God's desire. He says that I'll restore your soul, but the purpose of it is so that you can live life whole. Okay? Healing is to live life whole. Your life shouldn't be all about healing, though. So why fight? Fight because your life is a journey. And in every junction in life, there is a test that has to be overcome for you to pass on through. This journey will take you places sometimes that only God can go with you. Sometimes we want the validation from people. We want the applause. We want the hand claps. Truth of the matter is, we're like trees, and we grow down, we grow up, we grow out. All right. Down is underground. When we grow down, it's the root system. And that growth often is unseen. We want people to notice or acknowledge that our growth is happening. But often when we first start growing, we're growing down. We're growing our roots. And one thing I love about the root system aspect is that in a forest and in a garden, all the roots are connected and interconnected to each other that the garden may thrive. So you have an invisible network that you're building underground that you may be unaware of. And there you may have support that you're unaware of. There may be people that's actually praying for you, fasting for you, encouraging behind the scenes that you're unaware of. And that's just the nature of it. And so just like in the times where a baby is about to be born into the world, the entire 9 months is in the dark, right? Things begin to start in the dark. Seeds end up growing and taking root in the dark. And so we got to get used to seasons where it seems like we're just in the dark. This journey will take us places that only God can go with us. This journey will stretch you beyond your natural limits. Why? Because until you be stretched, you don't even know what you can accomplish. This journey will destroy all facades, false identities, and everything we hold near and dear to our heart that would be used to cover up the fragility of our human nature. God told Adam this. He said, Adam, where are you? Adam said, I heard your voice and I hid because I was afraid. You can't grow to where you need to be in life if you don't even know where you are in life. Coaching is about locating you. Consulting, counseling, therapists, whoever, they help you locate where you are. Because how can you get somewhere when you don't even know where you are in the first place? And so this journey will destroy all facades, cover-ups. Adam hid himself by covering himself up because he was afraid. When you're on the run or when you're in survival, you're literally running away from a mirror. Anything that would cause you to have to be accountable or responsible, you run away from that reality. Anything that will cause or bring you to a point of facing up to your consequences, you want to run away from that reality. Adam ran and hid because he was afraid. So what's the driving force of running? What's the driving force of survival? It's fear. The Bible says God's perfect love casts out fear because fear has torment. So you can be tormented because of the fears that you have. But he's trying to get you to a place where you're on this journey with him and you're no longer afraid. See, free from is freedom. And once you're free from fear, you can start thriving in life, but you can't build while you're on the run. And so every season of your life is being evaluated to what foundation is on. And if it's on a foundation, it can be shaken. Oftentimes, storms come in life to shake you off of things that won't sustain your growth. This journey will offend some friends and family that don't believe you have the capacity to change. Again, you don't need co-signers. Everybody won't be supportive of this journey. A lot of people grew up in environments, whether it was said or unsaid, that don't talk about things that goes on in the household because they're more afraid of public shame than they are about private deliverance, private growth, private healing. And so in the movie The Fight Club, the first rule of the Fight Club is don't talk about the Fight Club. Well, here's the problem. Most people are silent most about things they fight against most. Most people are silent about things that they war against the most. And when you go through traumatic circumstances, situations in life, traumatic events, they are there to silence your voice. And when you can no longer communicate, you'll experience arrested development. So the devil is literally the reason he assaults families, the reason he has things that happen through relationship dynamics, family dynamics, is that he wants to stifle and stop your voice from being heard because God created us in his likeness, in his image. And through our words, we change our life. Life and death from the power of the tongue, and they that love it to eat the fruit thereof. So a part of healing is to regain your voice. A part of healing is to be able to communicate verbally, out loud. Let me give you the scripture. Confess your faults one to another. Pray one for another that you be healed. James 5. Our healing comes through our confession. It's simultaneous. Our healing comes through our communication. And when we're unable to communicate, we're unable to heal. And so the purpose of the Fight Club first is to help you heal so you can regain this, because your voice is a power to be reckoned with. And as long as you're kept silent about things that you war or fight against the most, you can't be located or grow from there. This journey will challenge the very idea of what you think and call normal. Most of our normals are abnormal. There's something called the mere exposure effect, and it goes like this. It's a psychological phenomenon. It goes like this. Whatever you consider normal is something that you've been exposed to. What we've been exposed to, we become familiar with, and what we become familiar with, we become fond of. So we end up attracted to things that we're familiar with. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it's just what we know. And whatever we know ends up confining us into a place until we know more. The more we know, the more we grow. The more we grow, the more we experience. And so the Bible says that people perish for a lack of knowledge. And so the lack keeps us bound. I'll take it one step further. Entertainment is detainment for possession. And so the very places, this is how ignorance is bliss. Devil keeps us entertained to detain us in places that we're familiar with, that we're deceived to never grow out of. right? It's familiar, it's comfortable, so I never have a desire to grow out of it. Our brains are not geared for our thriving. Our brains are geared for survival and our comforts. And so this journey will challenge the very idea of what you consider normal. As long as you're satisfied with the bare minimums, as long as you're satisfied with bondage, as long as you're satisfied with attainment, the ignorance is bliss. But as soon as you become self-aware and get into self-discovery mode, you realize there's warfare at every turn. There's a war within and a war without. So this journey will cause you to face yourself, face your fears, and ultimately face God. Here's the purpose. The Fight Club is to help you to heal, to grow, to overcome, and have boldness and confidence to tell your story. I even have a book writer's bootcamp to help you become a first-time author by sharing your story. And so I believe that's the progression of your growth and your healing. When you get confident and bold enough where you share your story. The word testimony means to do it again. And I say this all the time, that accomplishment builds confidence. And so once you begin to stretch yourself and challenge yourself to start a task and finish it, you begin to accomplish things. And through the accomplishment, you gain confidence to do it again, right? A testimony is just do it. God does it again because you've been submitted to the process of growth. And so success, by simple definition, is just reaching your full potential. And along this journey, you will unlock aspects of yourself you never previously experienced. Self-awareness leads to self-discovery, which is the journey of success. Self-awareness brings you to the starting point of your journey, but self-discovery is the beginning to walk on the path of this journey. At every new junction of self-awareness and self-discovery, we are confronted with the reality of a fight. So, there is a war going on, and it's either ignorance is bliss, or you realize and peep game and you see that there's certain things in life that you have to war against. Things that are worth experiencing in life or worth fighting for. So what is your fight? James 4:1-4 says it like this: where do these wars and fights come from among you? Do they not come from your desires for pleasure that war within your members? You lust and you don't have. You murder and covet and you cannot obtain. You war and you fight, yet you have not because you don't ask. But you ask and not receive it because you ask amiss, that you may spend it on your pleasures. Adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know what friendship with the world is enmity against God? When we realize that ignorance is not bliss, there's a war going on the inside of us and outside of us. It confronts us to the place where we have to count up the cost and fight. Enmity means deep-seated, often mutual hatred. It's a feeling or state of animosity or quality of an enemy, hostile or unfriendly disposition. Simply put, our friendship or our allegiance to our old life is at war with our new life. Our friendship and our allegiance to our old life is at war with the life God desires for us. Our friendship and our allegiance to our familiar is at war with who God intends us to be. This is why Jesus says, if you come after me, you got to deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. For he who seeks to save his life will lose it. But he who loses life for my sake shall have it into eternity. The reality of this waging war can cause a person, though, to want to escape by any means. Survival. The results of sin and trauma it produces limits the soul to bare minimums. Bondage, conscious or unconscious, is just accepting defeat. So whatever you settle for in your mind becomes your settlement in life. And when you're saved, you're born again. You're born again to be a victor. You're born again to triumph. You're born again overcoming. But the victory has to happen from the inside of you to the outside of you, not vice versa. We don't overcome from without, we overcome from within. The devil we fight is our old life. Too many people are trying to escape their lives instead of live their lives. Escape by running away from the pains of the past, trying to avoid pain, numbing not to feel pain, complaining about life's conditions, avoiding taking responsibility to change your life, living through instant gratifications, people pleasing, believing that happiness is a byproduct of making someone else happy, and blaming others for your life and how it turned out. Just remember this, that in every story there is a victim, a villain, and a hero. And if you make yourself a victim, if you take the identity of a victim, then there's always a villain, someone you're always blaming for where you are in life. And then there's always a hero. And often we don't become the hero because we're looking for one. Oh, come on, let me preach. We don't become a hero because we're looking for one. When you adopt this victim mentality, this is where entitlement comes from, that you believe that because of what happened to your life, things should happen for your life. Because of what happened to you, things should happen for you. But that robs you of your responsibility and accountability. Excuses gives away your responsibility. And so as soon as I say I'm a victim, now I've excused my way from any responsibility to change my situation or any accountability to surrender or submit to someone who could help the situation. And so respect only happens through accountability and responsibility. And when I'm accountable to someone and responsible for my life and what's entrusted in me, I get respect. And respect puts me in a position where I can exercise authority. And authority just looks like I'm entrusted to handle certain responsibilities. And when I be faithful over my responsibilities, I get honor. And honor comes with rewards and awards. Awards come from people that acknowledge my good work. But rewards comes from God. That's why the Bible says, don't grow weary in well doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. And so the only way out is to grow your way out. And that requires you to fight for your life. There is no escape. When you're faced with a challenge, do you run or do you fight? Because whatever you stop fighting for, the will of God to be established in your life, whatever you settle for in your mind becomes your settlement in life, and you will never outgrow a place that you've settled for in your mind. So in boxing, a boxer trains to compete against an opponent, but in real life, you are the opponent. The moment you think you got to compete against another person, you already lost. The moment you think someone else has something that you have to fight against them that you want to get, you've already lost. The devil you defeat is your old life. If you want to see the devil's activity, just look at a person who has an unsurrendered life. This is why James 4:7 says, therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee. Our submission to God through alignment, God gives us assignment, and our assignment and us fulfilling it will defeat the devil on that level of your life. So why fight? I'm about to close, but we fight because we're dissatisfied living without purpose. It's a shame. It's a sad reality that people die without even finding out why they are born to live in the first place. Die before they even find out why they were created in the first place. Fight because there's so much more to live for. You have a reason to fight just for the simple fact that you're still here. You got a reason, if you're here, to live and to fight. So fight like it. Come on. Fight because your challenges are tailor-made. If you fight in the areas that you're currently weak in, they will eventually become your strengths. Okay, they will eventually become your strengths, and then you'll become battle-tested. And then people can depend on you. This is one of the reasons that we fight, because people are depending on your victory. If you settle for where you are today, your freedom will never be realized. And whatever you free from, you create freedom. If you don't create freedom for yourself, you may not create it for other people. What about your family? What about the people connected to you? Sometimes we have survivor's remorse because we've overcome things that other people were taken out by. And I get it. I feel like that sometimes. But you just got to understand that God has stamped his hand, his life on your life, and you got a purpose. And though, yes, other people may have been taken out by the same things that you're living through, but you still got a purpose and you got to fulfill it. I say this all the time, that rejection is the refinery of your identity. And so if God called you, regardless if they accept you or they reject you, regardless if they accept you or reject you, you're doing it for him, not them. I said this earlier in a post about stop complaining. Be careful to complain about a situation that God intended to pull the best form of you out of, the best part of you out of. See, God used a giant to pull a king out of David. Come on. God used jealous brothers in a pit and a cheating wife in a prison to pull a deliverer out of Joseph. God uses circumstances to pull the best version of us out of us. And we got to realize that there's no reason to complain about the fight or the warfare. We already won. We're just exercising our will. We're exercising our authority that we've been given. And so fight because God created you to fight. Life is a fight, and you were created to thrive on a high level and exist. You were created to overcome. Your fight may require you to fight against bad habits that you picked up in the world. Your fight may require you to fight against generational curses. It may require you to fight against evil governments, evil spirits, unjust systems. Your fight may require you to fight against yourself, your own evil heart. But we don't fight against flesh and blood. All right? So fight and win. We ain't just fighting to fight. We're fighting to win. God created us to rule. And so Proverbs 24:5-6. This is how we fight. A wise man is strong. Yes, a man of knowledge increases strength. For wise counsel, you will wage your own war. And through the multitude of counsels, there is safety. Check this out. Mentors, coaches, counselors, etc. Their wisdom gives you opportunity to understand at a level that you're not currently at. Their perspective of being somewhere that you're trying to go or having experiences that you want to live out. They help you understand and count up the cost to wage your own war. In the multitude of counsels, there is safety. In the multitude of counsels, things are established. And so if you want your life to be established and safe, you need someone in your life to help you navigate and grow. And I'm not just saying it because I got a coaching program. You need that dynamic in your life. You need a compass to help you go places that they've already been. You need a coach to help realize potential in you, right? And put you in the right circumstance and help pull that potential out. You need a confidant, someone you can talk to about intimate details of your life that won't judge you and help you navigate it. You need these type of people in your life. And this is what the Fight Club Community Connect is all about. It's about helping you realize that counsel causes you to wage the type of war that you not only count up the cost, but you can win. You can become a victorious person out of the situation. You can become victorious. That's what I'm trying to say. Come on. And so last but not least, you need 3 ingredients to become a great fighter. You need desperation, desire, and discipline. Look, we meet up Monday evening, 8:30 Central Standard Time, and Friday morning for prayer at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. In this Fight Club Community Connect, you get exclusive access to group chat, connecting with a tribe of fighters who are on the same healing journey and growth. You'll be connected to weekly virtual group sessions with me to gain wisdom, strategy, and accountability to help you progress. As soon as you join, hey, you get an email confirmation, and you say, hey, look, this is the time that we connect, and here goes the links, right? Weekly tips on how to succeed, practical insight to help you break the cycles and step into your purpose. Come on, spiritual development and prayer, building a stronger faith foundation to find God. Look, prayer is the underground excavation, I guess you could call it, for the foundation to be laid that you'll build your life on. Come on, leadership development, learning how to lead yourself and others with confidence and clarity, and all of the Fight Club resources, the tools, the lessons, the strategy to help you heal and grow, and instant access to new books and teachings, tickets to events that I have, and exclusive content. Look, I'm excited about this because I know that I'm heavy, okay? I'm a heavy person, and it's not for everybody. Remember, ignorance is bliss. And so their entertainment is entertainment for possession. And so this ain't for everybody, but this is for people who longing to be connected to a community to help them heal, grow, overcome, and then have boldness and confidence to tell their story. So, man, I'm just excited about all of this. Check out in my profile, Fight Club Community Connect. I look forward to seeing you here and just seeing you grow and develop into who God called you to be. Listen, destiny looks like this: the right people at the right place at the right time. And so, God bless you. I'm looking forward to connecting with you in the future. However I can help, hey, DM me, let me know. And then we go from there. Last but not least, be the type of person that others wouldn't want to live without. And do the type of things that never forget. You'll be celebrated wherever you go. Holla back. God bless you.